If you're a fan of JRPGs like I am, you know there's nothing quite like a game that blends great storytelling, combat, and the unforgettable world that you play in. But as much as we love the classics, time hasn't been kind to a lot of them. Some games still hold up in terms of design and narrative, but other times the graphics and interface or even accessibility make them feel like relics. So just like last week, I'm going to be discussing 10 more JRPGs that really need to be brought back in some way, shape, or form. So as you can tell in today's video, we're counting down 10 more JRPGs that need to be remade or remastered or just ported in some way or fashion or whatever, just to make people be able to play these games more conveniently. So before we get to that, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, or let me know some more games that you may have thought that I'm missing from this week. I'm trying to, cover my tracks from last week, some games that I missed in the remake video last week. So hopefully this makes everything all right with you guys. So let's get to the first two games of the video, one of my favorites of all time. So starting off the list is Golden Sun 1 and Golden Sun 2, which is The Lost Age. The Golden Sun is a classic example of a handheld RPG done right. With the turn-based combat, some of the puzzle designs, and the innovative synergy system, this really gave me a wonderful way to combine elemental powers in creative ways. And honestly, even replaying this game about 2 years ago on Game Boy Advance was still such a standout experience. Now the story here, which revolves around, stopping the release of an ancient evil by protecting elemental lighthouses, balances some of those traditional JRPG narrative tropes with some smart plot twists and some honestly really engaging character moments. And the sequel, Golden Sun Lost Age, expanded upon the original in every way, introducing new playable characters, more exploration with a new world map, and more challenging puzzles. Also, I really love the fact that you can play as your original party by importing this massive code from the end of Golden Sun 1, so you can actually import your save data, which was really fun. I love the soundtrack of this game. It's both catchy and atmospheric, really perfectly complementing the world that you play in. So from the towns to the dungeons, the environments feel alive, even on a Game Boy Advance. Even though the graphics and the sounds were obviously charming from that era, modernizing these games with HD visuals, or maybe even HD 2D visuals, I guess, if you wanted to go that far, with updated sound and some quality of life stuff like fast travel, honestly would make these games a lot more accessible without losing their original charm. A remake or a remaster or something could introduce this series to a new generation of players, proving that handheld RPGs can deliver really great experiences just as much as console titles. So, yes, you can play the original games on the Switch conveniently, but come on now. I need more Golden Sun in my life. Next up is Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve blended survival horror with RPG mechanics in a way that few games attempted at the time. It was kind of like Resident Evil adjacent. It wasn't exactly Resident Evil, but just imagine Resident Evil with like turn-based battles, more or less. Players control Aya Brea, navigating a modern-day New York City while confronting genetically altered creatures in a tense cinematic world. Its narrative, its atmosphere, and combat system were honestly ahead of their time, making it a standout title on PlayStation. There's a combination of science fiction and horror, offering a really unique and compelling sense of action and character development. It takes place over a couple days around Christmas. It's very fun. The atmosphere is very tense. And it's just, it's a very unique experience that I just would really love to revisit in some way. And the soundtrack and the visuals, especially the visuals, a little bit dated and hard to look at, I would say really helped establish a mood that few games could match. Aya's journey is both thrilling and very engaging, cementing Parasite Eve as bit of a cult classic. So a proper remake could obviously enhance graphics and refine combat and add some voice acting as well, while retaining the original's super tense Christmassy atmosphere. With survival horror really just having a massive resurgence in popularity, Parasite Eve is perfectly positioned to capture both nostalgic players and newcomers. It would be so fun to play this again. Now this is a fun one. I remember renting this from Blockbuster many years ago, and this is Dark Cloud. This was a PlayStation 2 game that blended dungeon crawling with some town building mechanics. It was a really unique gameplay loop. I did enjoy it. As Tone, the young hero, you traverse dungeons and get resources and restore towns to life. Each dungeon has a purpose just beyond combat. Rebuilding stuff directly impacts the story and the world and giving you a real tangible sense of progression as you play the game. Now the story, straightforward, has a lot of charm and heart. We see the impact of your actions as towns grow and citizens thrive, adding a kind of unique emotional weight to that kind of game. And plus the randomized dungeon elements added a lot of replay value, encouraging you to experiment as you go. Now despite the innovative design, Dark Cloud's graphics and camera controls feel a little bit dated by modern standards. Updating visuals and refining controls would not only modernize this game, but also highlight the creativity behind the game design. A remake could introduce a new generation to one of the PlayStation 2's most inventive RPG experiences. So I think it would be really fun to revisit this one. And if we're going to talk about Dark Cloud, may as well talk about Dark Cloud 2. Again, another game that I really fondly remember renting for Blockbuster. Dark Cloud 2, also known as Dark Chronicle, built on the predecessor's foundation by basically improving a lot of the aspects of the original. Combat became faster and more engaging, dungeons became a little bit more intricate, and the story felt a little bit more serious and emotionally resonant. And I loved the interplay between the characters. It really gave that narrative depth that I was really kind of hoping for with a sequel. This was a graphically impressive game for the PlayStation 2 era. I mean, I thought it was really interesting how they changed the visual thing, the visual look of Dark Cloud 1 to Dark Cloud 2. Dark Cloud 2 is more cel-shaded, so full HD remake or port could modernize it with controls and enhanced visuals and all that stuff that I mentioned for Dark Cloud 1. So hey, this would be a great opportunity for Dark Cloud 1 and 2 to be released as a double pack. Both of these games, I would say, kind of are forgotten gems. So Modern Revival really could cement its legacy as one of the most innovative RPGs of the PlayStation 2 era. But hang on, before going any further in today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because almost 90% of the people that watch my channel on the regular are not subscribed. And if you want more content on the daily, don't forget to check out my Instagram page where I'm posting stuff from reels, retrospective looks, images, polls, all that kind of stuff where I really just try and interact with you guys on a better level than I can on YouTube. So anyway, back to the video, back to another game that I would really love to see remade or ported or whatever. Ah man, one of my favorites, Eternal Sonata. I mean, I really haven't had the chance to talk about it that much on this channel, but this was a really standout game of the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. This blended fantasy inspired by the life and music of famous composer Frédéric Chopin. So in this game, we navigate a dreamlike realm as a young Frédéric, battling enemies in a turn-based battle system that's super stylish, strategic, and uniquely influenced by the music. Each battle feels like a part of a composition, really reflecting the game's thematic ties to Chopin's work. Now, the game's story is both touching and inventive, exploring the intersection of dreams and reality while delving into human emotion, and characters are pretty memorable here from my experience anyway, like almost 20 years ago, and the narrative progression is supported by a beautiful art style of the game. The environments, the mystical forest, the fantastical castles really feel alive, and I don't know, it's very immersive, really just, again, complementing the music of the game. However, Eternal Sonata really never achieved that widespread recognition that I feel it deserved. Maybe it's a kind of a more niche appeal to this game. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people don't really want to play something that's based off of Chopin, but honestly, if you give it a shot, it's very, very interesting and fun. Bringing Eternal Sonata back in some sort of polished form could really finally give it the audience and the attention that it truly deserves. Next up is Breath of Fire. Now, I don't have a ton of experience playing these games, but what I have touched, I have really enjoyed. The early Breath of Fire games from Capcom laid the foundation for many mechanics that we take for granted now in JRPGs. Transformations, branching narratives, strategic combat really set these games apart, creating experiences that can be challenging but also uniquely engaging emotionally. Now, despite the influence of the Breath of Fire games, these games are honestly a little bit difficult to access today, with some of the original cartridges and discs being very expensive and sometimes hard to attain. The pixel art, while nostalgic, might deter younger players who are used to maybe modern visuals or smoother gameplay stuff. So think of something like Star Ocean: The Second Story R. I always think of that as the benchmark for an HD 2D remake. So think of something like Breath of Fire HD 2D or Breath of Fire 1 through 3, The Second Story R kind of thing. You know what I mean? So a faithful HD remake could really preserve the original charm while obviously updating graphics and music and the interface to appeal to contemporary audiences. And beyond mechanics, the stories in Breath of Fire are really just classic JRPG stuff. Heroes overcoming adversity, rich worlds to explore, and great companions that leave a lasting impression, combined with amazing music. Updating these games would allow both returning fans and newcomers to experience these games, especially Capcom's early RPG visions, once again. Now, in my remake video last week, this game right here was one of the most commented, and this is Legend of Legaia. This game really stood out on the PlayStation because it had this really innovative combat system. Instead of turn-based commands, you would input directional attacks in the tactical arts system. So this made battles a little bit more engaging and rewarding than your standard turn-based stuff. It really encourages you to think creatively rather than rely on just pressing A to attack. This game was really atmospheric with a sense of tension and wonder that's going to keep you invested throughout your entire playthrough. And despite its unique design and mechanics, it remains largely forgotten outside of retro gaming circles, which is really a shame. So a remake could obviously modernize visuals, refine the combat interface, and maybe even expand some story elements, making it more approachable for today's audience. With its innovative systems and memorable world, I mean, obviously Legend of Legaia has the potential to shine again in the modern gaming landscape. I know a lot of you guys wanted this in my video last week, so let's include it. I would love to honestly give it another shot with a fresh coat of paint. It would be so much fun. Now, I talked about this one a couple of weeks ago in my video discussing whether or not Chrono Trigger needs a remake or a remaster or something, but a lot of you guys commented on my video last week saying, where's Chrono Trigger? Well, here it is. I'm going to basically summarize what I said 2 or 3 weeks ago. And yeah, Chrono Trigger, it's obviously considered as one of the best games of all time. And if you've played it, it's easy to see why. The story revolving around time travel and battling against this apocalyptic threat is just as compelling now as it was back in 1995. Multiple endings, memorable characters, and a combat system that blends strategy with action makes Chrono Trigger, pardon the pun, feel timeless. Every era you visit, from prehistoric times to dystopian future, is full of unique challenges and discoveries alike. Beyond its narrative, the game's design was really revolutionary for that time. The active time battle system added great depth without slowing down the pace, and of course also not having random battles. Being able to see the enemies that you're going to fight on the map was a really great addition as well. The original pixel art, while iconic, could benefit from a modern HD treatment, especially to highlight some of the more intricate designs of environments and characters. Or we could just port the game as it is. This is what I'm really fighting for, and this is what I really want to see. Even if this game is completely untouched, even if it's not HD 2D modernized, that's fine. Give me and many other players a way to support this game without spending hundreds of dollars on a Super Nintendo cartridge like I did a couple of years ago. Chrono Trigger's influence on JRPGs as a genre is immense, and giving it a contemporary release would allow for both veterans and newcomers to experience or re-experience the magic once again. And last on our list is Wild Arms 1 for the PlayStation 1. The original Wild Arms delivered a unique blend of fantasy and Western themes, creating a setting unlike anything else in JRPGs that we really saw around that time. I mean, we were really just used to fantasy stuff or maybe kind of modern day stuff, but Western, you really haven't seen it since either. With the puzzle-filled dungeons, amazing music, and the exploration, I mean, it really just set this game apart. The story following Rudy, Jack, and Cecilia is very heartfelt and classic. There's lots of themes of friendship and adventure that honestly just, it's kind of almost parallel to Grandia with the sense of adventure that you have while you play that game. Now, obviously, despite how good this game is, it's kind of hard to access on modern platforms. I mean, yes, you can get it on the PlayStation Store, but come on, I would really like to be able to see it on a multi-platform release and just accessible by everybody. Like a lot of the other ones on this list, the graphics and mechanics feel maybe a little bit outdated by contemporary standards, so Remake could have greater visuals, refine the combat, and smooth the interface while retaining that original charm. Again, Star Ocean Second Story R, that's the benchmark for these kind of things. And the music, which was already iconic, could be rearranged or reorchestrated to highlight its Western-inspired themes and really give the game a fresh but familiar feel. Reviving Wild Arms would not only honor a cornerstone of early PlayStation JRPGs, but also introduce new players to this inventive world and the engaging mechanics to go along with it. The combination of creative puzzles, great characters, and very distinctive atmosphere makes it a perfect, maybe honestly the best candidate on this entire video for a remake that would respect its legacy while obviously updating it for modern audiences. So that's my list for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my selection of kind of maybe more than 10, if you count like Breath of Fire as a series, like 1 through 4, and Wild Arms. Could even do Wild Arms 2 and 3 and 2 through 5, really. Sky's the limit for these games, and there's so many that I would love to see remade and be able to be played by so many more people on modern consoles. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment your thoughts down below. Otherwise, we'll see you on another video next week. Bye-bye.